I failed my 2025 TBR. At the end of 2024, I made a video of the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. And guess how many I read this year? I read 5 out of that entire list, which is really sad because I really liked filming that video. I liked coming up with the list of books that I wanted to focus on this year, and I had good explanations for all of them, and I just didn't read barely any of them, which is very disappointing. It wasn't necessarily like a challenge or anything. Like, I wasn't holding myself to the fact that I was going to read all these 25 books, because that's a lot of books in one year. I ended up this year only reading 52. I'm currently reading my 52nd book, which I will be finishing before the new year. But I only read like 50-ish books this year, so 25 books would have been half of what I was reading, and I ended up only reading 5 off of that list. Sad, but doesn't mean that I wasn't reading at all. It just means that I didn't prioritize that list as much as I should have. And you know what else I did not prioritize this year? Reading for my physical TBR. At the beginning of this year, I posted another video about the bookshelves that I got last Christmas, which my dad built for me, and they're super awesome, really cool. And in that video, I also cataloged all the books that I had and the books that I have not read on my physical TBR. And there were a lot. I think there were like 70 or something books that I had not read at that moment. I'm pretty sure even in that video I said that in 2025 I wanted to read more of my physical TBR. Guess what I also didn't do? I did not prioritize my physical TBR. I was thinking about that video and the 2025 TBR list that I made, and I was thinking, like, how many books did I actually read off of my physical TBR? If I only read 5 out of the 25 books that I wanted to read this year, how many did I actually knock off of my physical TBR? The numbers were not looking good. I only read 9 books off of my physical TBR out of the 52 that I read this year. That's 80% came from the library, which is awesome because I love my library. But what does that mean if I have all of these books? I think I have a physical library of like 150 books at this point. If I have all of these books, but I'm not reading them. Yes, the library is great and everyone should be borrowing books from their local library, and it's a really great way to save money, but what am I doing if I'm only borrowing books from the library to read and I'm not reading any of the books that I have that I own? And I'm buying books. Like, not all of these are coming to me for free. Not all of these I got from like a little free library or something like that. I'm spending my money on these books and they're just sitting there, just like dead weight. And I don't like that. It doesn't make me feel good. And seeing all these little statistics that I made earlier this morning really does not make me feel good about my purchasing habits, my reading habits, and just, I don't know, overall life habits, because what the heck am I doing? After reflecting on my videos that I made at the beginning of this year, going into the new year, I want to change some things up. And I have a few rules or goals that I want to set for myself this year to try and change my reading and purchasing habits, because I don't know, I have a good feeling about 2026. I feel like, I don't know, this year is going to be my year. Me saying that every year. I just have like some personal life goals that I really want to come to fruition this year, and I feel like the rest of my life and habits kind of need to match up with like the severity of this one big goal. Basically, I want to move out of my parents' house by the end of this year, or at least like have steps taken to do that by the end of this year. I don't know. Love living with my family, but I have the strongest urge to live by myself, live in my own space. I would love to move out. And I feel like a lot of what I'm going to be doing in 2026 is kind of helping me take steps to make that process easier. I'm going to be saving a lot of the money that I'm making this year. I want to start dwindling down the amount of stuff that I own, because that makes it a lot easier to move, stuff like that. And I think that my habits, like my hobbies, are also going to be impacted by that. So I think I need to make some solid goals and rules to help myself achieve this bigger life goal through my reading goal, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but I will get into my reading centered goals this year, because you're probably like, girl, what are you gonna do? I'll tell you. First of all, my reading goal as like a number to hit. This past year was 52 books. I'm currently on my 52nd book, and it is the 30th of December, so we'll see if I make that. I probably will. For 2026, I want to read 40 books, which is definitely a step down from the number that I had for this year. And that's because when I set my goal for 2025, I was unemployed and I was living at home, and I really had nothing to do other than read books all the time. So I was reading a lot in the beginning half of this year. And then I ended up getting 2 jobs within the span of 1 month. And my reading has drastically changed. Like, oh my goodness, I really kind of went into a slump at the end of the summer and I haven't been reading a lot. That's why I haven't been making a lot of reading videos, but I have that spark back. I feel like at the beginning of a year, you kind of always have like a spark to want to do new things or like continue habits that you enjoy. And that's how I'm feeling about reading right now. As you can see, got big plans for this year. So I got 40 books that I want to read this year, which I'm bringing down that number because, like I said, I'm working 2 jobs, not as much time to read, and I still feel like that is a really big number. Like when I was in college, I think my yearly goal that I would set for myself would be like 25 books, but 40 I feel like I can hit. We'll see, but I think that that's a lot more attainable than like a 50 book goal that I've been setting for the past 2 years straight. I like that number. Okay, now into my kind of rules for 2026. To get myself to read my physical TBR, I am setting this rule. I think I first heard of this from Taylor Tippett. I don't think that she is the originator of this kind of like trend or rule, I guess, whatever. The 5 before I buy rule. So that is, I have to read 5 books from my physical TBR before I can buy or acquire 1 new book. And I'm not going to be doing this in a way where I'm like, oh, I just read my 5th book. I can go out and buy one right now. No, I'm not doing that. Impulse purchases are going to be at a minimum this year. That's my goal for 2026. I want to be able to bank these books for special occasions, like if I'm traveling or if I'm out with a friend or something like that, just to kind of like commemorate a moment with other people, or if I'm like traveling, seeing a new place, whatever, kind of like a souvenir. I really like doing that. And I just don't feel like I need to buy new books. Like if I were just to walk into a bookshop and be like, oh, I'm getting this now. And I have no rhyme or reason. I just like, la la la, I want to spend my money. No, we're canceling that. Basically, I want to make this year be like a low buy year, which means that I'm just like trying to cut down on my impulse purchases as much as I can, try to be really intentional. That's why I'm doing like the banking, saving it for a special moment, that sort of vibe. I really like Grace Nevitt's channel on YouTube. She does a lot of like the low buy, no buy content on YouTube. And I think she did like a full low buy year in 2024. And I feel like watching that whole series was really inspirational. And I would love to be able to do that. So I think I'm going to do kind of like a low buy year. Not fully no buy, because I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I think I need to work my way up to that. But definitely a low buy year, because I'm, like I said, trying to save my money for other reasons, you know. So low buy, especially when it comes to books, because I have so many unread books. Why am I spending money on more? No. I have to read 5 before I can buy or even acquire. Like if I go to a little free library, I have to read 5 before I can get any more. I'm going to be tracking them on a little sheet. Maybe I'll post that to Instagram so you guys can see my progress. I'm going to try and dwindle down that physical TBR, you know? Also, the way that I'm going to be doing this, because I'm so heavily addicted to my library, probably because of my Kindle. I only read library books off of my Kindle, and it's just so easy to read off a Kindle, like laying on my side or reading at night without the light on. It's just so easy, and I feel like I'm kind of addicted to the convenience of the Kindle. And if I'm just so in love and just like I'm using the Kindle all the time, what's the purpose of owning all of these physical books, you know? So I think I need to wean myself off of that. And the way that I'm doing that is with this next rule where I can only check out one fiction book from my library at a time, so I can focus on my physical TBR. And that encompasses all types of books. Like if I get it physically, if I get an ebook, an audiobook, I can only have one going at a time. And I'm saying fiction specifically because I really like to check out like nonfiction resource sort of books from the library. And I don't think that really impacts my physical TBR, like consumption. It's really the fiction books that I have an issue with. Like right now I have 2 books about knitting. I can get nonfiction for reference purposes, but only one fiction book at a time, which I think is going to be hard for me because a lot of times I have like an ebook going, an audiobook going, and like something else at the same time. So I'm going to focus on my physical TBR. As I said, that's the goal. I really hope the lighting is not like really crazy right now. I'm sure it is. The next sort of goal, rule, I don't want to call them rules specifically, like hard and fast rules, because if I break them, that is going to be really devastating for me. And then I might throw the whole thing out the window, you know? So goals, guidelines, whatever. Bear with me if I interchange them. But the next one that I have is to consciously consider if I'm going to keep or get rid of a book after I finish it. Like I said, if I move and I'm just bringing all of these books all over the place with me, like 150 books, that is a lot of moving heavy books. And I don't know if I want to keep all of these books that I'm finishing. Like if I don't love them or if I DNF them, like a hard DNF, I should just get rid of them. I shouldn't cling on to them just because I spent my money on them. I should pass them on, let them have a new life with someone else. Don't just hoard my books, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm hoarding them. Definitely going to evaluate after I finish each book and see if I want to keep that. Like, I think grounds for keeping it is if I really enjoyed it, if I think I'm going to read it again, if I like the cover, if I think that someone else in my life might enjoy reading it. A lot of times I'll keep books because I think my mom wants to read them. And I'm just like, Mom, you should read this. And then we can talk about it. Sometimes she just doesn't. She tries to read them and then she just doesn't want them. She doesn't want to read them. But that's okay. If I think like my friend wants to borrow it or something like that, then I can keep the book. But if I don't think I'm going to read it again, or if I don't think it really has any other purpose for me, I should just get rid of it. Stop holding on to the things that you don't need or use. That's going to be the theme for this year for me. I also want to say that DNFs count for my reading goals. Like if I hard DNF, I think that should count because I'm giving my conscious effort towards something and I feel like it should count. And another one, I should try and read the ones that I had on my list for 2025. Like kind of carry that over into 2026. I had really solid reasons for why I wanted to read all of the books, and I actually own quite a few of them now. Like some of them I got gifted to me, or I just like have been acquiring them over this past year to kind of make it easier for me to read them. Did it make it any easier? No, because I didn't read them. Also, I'm pretty sure all of the books that I read, like out of the 5 books, all of them, every single one was one that I checked out from the library. This is definitely like the consequence of having the hobby of reading versus the hobby of buying books. I feel like those 2 hobbies were kind of separate for me for the past few years, and now I'm really trying to merge them. That's the goal. Up next, I need to stay up to date with tracking them. Like I said, I'm going to do the 5 before I can get a new one, have those parceled out so I can really like know when I have the opportunity to like bank a book or get one or whatever. But also really stay up to date with my Notion tracker because that's what I set up last year. I'm going to stay up to date with that so that I know. I also do a pretty good job of doing it on my Goodreads. I just think that some of the books that I have on my shelves are maybe not on my Goodreads. We'll see about that. And then finally, at the end of 2026, or when I move, whichever comes first, hopefully the latter, I need to evaluate why I didn't read the books on my physical TBR within this past year, and realistically, will I ever read them? There are a lot of books that I have that have been sitting on my shelves for years. For years. If I'm focusing so much on my physical TBR this year, then by the end of the year, if I don't read any of these specific books, I'm definitely not going to be able to read all of them, because if my reading goal is 40, I have like 70 books on my TBR. There's no way I'm going to get all of them done. But if I make it to the end of this year and it doesn't get read, why is that? You know, is it just that I'm not interested in it at all, or I'm waiting for a specific moment, or is it that I am never ever going to read it ever and I should just get rid of it? Who knows? But yeah, I need to go through all the unread books that are on my physical TBR at the end of the year and evaluate them thoroughly. Some of them are going to get the axe, I predict. Okay, that is my big plan for my reading and physical TBR in 2026. Guys, pray for me that I can do all of these things. My self-discipline is definitely going to be tested this year, especially with the one library book thing, but also the physical TBR thing. I don't know. Like, I bought or acquired all of these books for some reason in the past. Like, I liked them at one point. I think I'll like them again. So why am I just letting them sit there? You know, we need to get to the bottom of this and start reading them. I think what I need to do next is to update my little Notion page and really see what all is on there, because I've definitely bought books over this past year, over 2025, that I just have not put into the Notion, and I need to see what my starting statistics are for this year, so at the end of 2026 I can look back and reflect and be like, hey, I cut down half of my physical TBR or something like that. I'm hoping that these goals, rules, challenges will definitely kind of switch things in my brain. Definitely discipline me to not impulse purchase books or just grab things that I see that are free and just take them home and hoard them like a crow. And just like, I'm hoarding all these shiny things and they're just sitting there collecting dust. And that's not what a book is about. I mean, some books are nice to just like look at, but there's words in those boys that I have not read, and I need to. That's what we're going to do this year. Mark my words. Let's get into cataloging all of my books again, because I got so many. There's so many. I'm keep looking over here, because even though my bookshelf is not in my room, I have another little section in here with a bunch of books that are overflowing, and I'm just like, my bookshelf outside of my room is full. And that's why these are in here. Like, oh my gosh, I have so many unread books. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, it's the next day. I had to go to work yesterday so I can finish cataloging all of my books. We're back. And I just finished putting everything into my Notion. And are you ready for the final count? It's not looking good. Okay. After putting everything into my Notion tracker, it looks like I have 177 total books. I've gone up 20 from last year. I thought I was doing good this year and not buying as many books as I have been. Sometimes I go on a rampage, but I guess not. And my total of unread books is 103. That's crazy. In past TBR videos, it's been like 70, 80, which is not good. Not good. I did not think it was over 100. That's crazy. Okay. All the more reason that I need to do this year and bring down that TBR goal, because holy cow, that's like freaky numbers. I feel like what you see online with BookTube and other like people who actually do this as their job, like it kind of makes sense for people to have like that many unread books just because they're always like having them in their videos. But I'm just like a normal person. I'm just a normal person, and there is no excuse for me to have that many unread books. I should have like 4 at max. Jeez. Okay. Well, that was shocking and really great motivation to get me to do this challenge this year. Holy cow. Literally, I'm looking at the screenshot that I took from last year. I had 73 unread books. Where did 30? I got 30 more unread books this year? How does that even work? Okay. I'm like freaking out a little bit. That's really... I'm scared. Okay. Well, anyways, now I have some excellent motivation to do this challenge. So stick with me if you want to see how I do. I'm definitely going to do... Oh, my cat just walked in. A wrap up at the end of the year. See some final comparison numbers. Maybe I'll have to read more than 40 books because holy cow. It's going to take me like multiple years to get through all of these. Hello. Maybe what I need to do next is a beginning of the year book purge. Like I said, stick around if you want to see me do this challenge throughout the year. I'm very excited. And I have a lot of good books to read. Yay. Going to dwindle down that TBR as I should have this entire past year, but I didn't. Thank you so much for watching. Me and Button are going to go hang out. Maybe start a new book. I'm almost done with my one that I'm reading right now. Just kidding, I have to go to work. Anyways, Happy New Year. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in another video, hopefully soon. Bye.